Welcome, everybody, to the Bearcast on CHSN. I am Alex Shapiro. With me is Mike Bolling and Edgar Perez. How you guys doing?
Solid gold, man. Bears win. We're anticipating a victory Monday. Feels good.
Yeah, we're doing great after that. Just beat down on the lakefront and just a beautiful Sunday. What more could you ask for?
Absolutely love it. So if you're watching this podcast, if you're listening to this podcast, it is probably because you are already subscribed to the Under Center podcast on NBC Sports Chicago. As NBC Sports Chicago transitioned to CHSN, the Chicago Sports Network, here you are. Here's the new deal, the Bearcast. So once again, thank you for sticking with us. We hope to bring you that same quality, that same coverage that you love. We want to start out by thanking everybody at the Under Center podcast. You know, our host, Kenneth Davis, my co-host, Josh Schrock, and then the producers that made that show go, Tony Gill and Claire Philpy. It was a real joy. I was fortunate enough to be a part of that show, and I'm fortunate enough to be a part of this show now. So first off, thank you to everybody and who made that show, and now we're really excited and we're really thankful to have the opportunity to carry that show forward. So new name, new us, new station, the Bearcast. Welcome again. We hope that you love this show as well, and we're really excited to bring you that opportunity. The Bearcast is presented by St. Xavier University, so that is going to stay the same. You're used to that St. Xavier University front of center. Guess what? They're still on board here for round 2 with us. So thank you again to St. Xavier University for also getting back on board. We'd love to see that. Now we've got a lot to talk about with this Bears dominant win at home over the Panthers on offense and on defense. But as always, we got to start with number 18, the number 1 pick in the draft, and that is Caleb Williams. So I'm going to start with you, Bolling. Thoughts on Caleb Williams' day today on Sunday?
Man, I'll say he was very, very impressive to me, man. I think we've waited a long time to see a performance like this in a game where all week you're talking about how decimated the Panthers are with injuries and everyone's picking us to win. The spread's in our favor. And, I was talking off camera with EP just saying we're used to kind of losing that game, like dropping that game when all the odds are, in our favor. And he just quietly did his thing, man. I think, throwing for 300 yards is a box we needed to see him check, and he checked it. He got to DJ Moore early, which obviously is going to always help, but I was really impressed with his poise, man. I mean, I think sometimes you get into these games where it's getting away from the other team, it's going the way you want, and you can kind of take your foot off the pedal, and he just kept driving throws in and just doing his job. So I was really impressed with his performance today against the Panthers.
I think in just the manner we saw those 300 yards, right? Like he wasn't throwing for 50 whatever times a game. Like he was an efficient. What was it? The final tally, 20 for 29, and he was throwing the ball downfield, completing those deep passes that we wanted to see. And we, like Bolling said, we saw it leading up to this point that he was starting to put it together. But I mean, yes, it was a beat up Panthers team, but hey, you only play who's on the schedule, right? So being able to see him take what we think is that next step and the next step and the next step, and that's all we can ask for, right? Just constant improvement from Caleb. Seeing him have an efficient game, throwing the ball downfield, getting everybody involved. I think it was one drive where he literally went Komet, Allen, Moore, Rome, like all 4 passes consecutive, like just spreading the ball out to his main guys. And it was just something that was just amazing to see on the lakefront.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think this is about as good as you could hope for out of Caleb Williams' rookie 5th start. I mean, I know Jaden Daniels is tearing it up, and people want to compare him to C.J. Stroud. And what those guys are doing is great, but you can't expect that to be the result. And this was a pretty phenomenal performance. I think by my count, I saw maybe 2, maybe 3 miscues, misfires. The first throw of the game, it could have been a pick 6. After the game, Caleb Williams basically said, hey, the wind affected that one. And once he got that feel for that wind, he really dialed in, right? To throw 69%. We heard so many players after the game mentioning the wind. To dial in after just one throw, be super accurate, that's pretty impressive stuff. As you said, Edgar, the deep shots. We finally started to see those deep connections. but he wasn't forcing it. We didn't see the hero ball stuff. We didn't see the, I got to push this into triple coverage and hope my guy comes down with it. It was, if I've got a shot down the field, I'm taking it, which he did, and he was extremely accurate on those. That throw to DJ Moore up the seam for the touchdown, the second touchdown.
Unreal.
Thing of beauty. I mean, that's a truly perfect ball. Throwing on the run to Cole Kmet down the sideline, throwing on the run to DJ Moore. All that stuff was really impressive. And then when it wasn't there, we saw him very quickly go through his progressions, 1, 2, 3, find the open guy. If he's not there, find the check down. If the check down's not there, take off running. It seemed to me like he did everything right.
This felt like his arrival moment. You know, I think there was a lot of hype around the number 1 pick and Heisman Trophy, first, franchise quarterback, savior. You can use all the adjectives you want, but he's done a really good job, I think, off the field of just like keeping a level head, understanding this is a process, understanding he's going to have to grow. And today, like, EP said, you play who's on the schedule. The Panthers come to town. They're banged up. When you have a good quarterback, those are the games they shine in. And he did his thing. And he arrived as, by all accounts, the guy that we all know he is. And it felt like, I feel like I have to give some props to Shane Waldron today. I feel like a lot of people have been very critical about him over the last few weeks, and rightfully so. And today he called a pretty near perfect game, I would say. I think there was a couple plays I was scratching my head, but normally we have these conversations, together, and it's like, do you remember that play and the screen and the short side pitch and all that stuff? And it's like, I don't have that many in my head that I can point to and be like, that was weird. And Shane Waldron did a really good job of understanding the weaknesses that the Panthers had, the injuries that they suffered in the game, and just, stuck with his game plan to balance both run and pass. And you see it pays dividends. So I'll do a hat tip to Shane Waldron because I think he hasn't gotten enough love lately, and I think he's starting to figure out the tools he has and how to use them.
I want to get back to you. I want to get back to you about the offense as a whole. But before that, I do want to touch on one more thing about Shane Waldron. I'm really glad you brought that up, Mike. The thing that I saw that really gave me encouragement with Shane Waldron today was that he seemed to learn and carry forward the adjustments that the Bears made last week, which is something we haven't always seen in the past. In the past, we've seen Bears make great in-game adjustments, and it works for a bit, and then they kind of go away from it and say, actually, we really want to do that, so let's see if we can get that going again. No, what did we see? When they got in the short goal zone area, right at the goal line, they weren't doing the gun stuff anymore. Hey, last week we had Doug Kramer playing fullback, and we went jumbo, and it worked. So let's do it again. And guess what? It worked again. Yeah. Same thing with the up-tempo. They called it, I think on the broadcast, they were calling it the muddle huddle, right? The up-tempo stuff worked really, really well for the Bears against the Rams. They went to it again, and guess what? It worked again. And then when they tried to slow it down, the Bears did try and slow it down to work some clock in that second half. It didn't look as good. So guess what? They went up-tempo again. Those are the things that, to me, are extremely encouraging about Shane Waldron, listening to that feedback, seeing what was working, what wasn't working, and carrying those adjustments forward.
Yep.
One of the things I did want to bring up about Caleb, if you could go back to him really quick, if I were to pick one thing from this game that I do want to see him carry, or not carry over, but kind of improve going forward, is maybe to work on his pocket awareness a little bit. I do understand that that'll come with time, but there were times where I feel like he was indecisive, he was just struggling mentally to kind of decide, am I going to get out of here? Am I going to hang into the pocket a little bit? And I think sometimes he made a decision a little too late, and now he has guys on top of him. And then once quarterbacks start, spinning around and trying to run around like that, that gets me nervous because we all know legs could get held onto, and you turn around and you sprain a knee or something. So it's just a little bit to just keep in mind from Caleb. And I'm sure he knows that he's great at avoiding pressure anyway, but maybe just to make those decisions just come a little quicker. I think just for me, I'd be a little more comfortable and not, just hold my breath every time there's bodies flying around Caleb as he's trying to spin out of pressure.
Well, we're gonna hold our breath regardless because
that's true.
He's our guy.
that's very accurate. But yeah, no, I thought the offense, like you said, Alex, flowed well. That muddle huddle when it was working. Just I felt like that's what kept the pressure on the Panthers, and they just couldn't really keep up. I think once they got the Panthers in the kind of look they were in the base look that they were comfortable with, they kept that pressure, right? They went to that model huddle. They got quick passes out, and they mixed up the play calling too, right? So even though they were in a hurry up, DeAndre Swift had a great first half. Like he had over 100 total yards in the first half. I mean, it was great to see. There was one point in the game where they were in that model huddle and they called a timeout. I think that's when they were going for the fourth down play, if I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? Everyone regrouped, substitutions came in, and they couldn't convert. And it was just like, I wish they would have just kept it going one more time. It was like a 4th and 1, a 4th and 2 play. So it's like just keep it going, man. But I think the offense flowed well, especially in the first half. Everything was clicking, and like you said, Alex, it was awesome to see them carry that over from the last game. If it works, it works. Let's keep it going.
All right, DJ Moore.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, I wrote these notes down because I was just like scouring social and seeing like these numbers on Caleb. So Caleb, 1,091 pass yards in the first 5 games is a Bears franchise record. I don't know if that's like we should be super excited or like really pissed off that our quarterbacks have been so bad for so long. But then the other one is Caleb's the first rookie quarterback with multiple 300-yard passing games. And in Bears history, it took him 5 games. 5 games. Like we have just been so deprived of what looks like normal, like serviceable quarterback play. And in a game where it feels like, okay, this is why we drafted this guy. Like you just see it. He's already over 1,000 yards, and it's really exciting. And hopefully the adjustments that Shane Waldron has made unlock some more things with this offense, because I do think there's a lot more on the table here, and we'll continue to do baby steps, but I'm super impressed, and hopefully we can continue this thing rolling.
Oh, totally. I mean, it feels like they're just scratching the surface of what they can do, really. Mm-hmm. They got DJ Moore going. Rome Odunze was involved a little bit. Keenan Allen was involved a little bit. DeAndre Swift was involved a little bit. Cole Kmet was involved a little bit. I mean, like, you could see, okay, DJ Moore popped off this week. Maybe it'll be Rome who popped. I mean, Rome popped off a couple weeks ago. You can see how different guys can take turns. And once you can be certain and consistent that, okay, it's going to be a DJ day, it's going to be a Rome day, it's going to be a Keenan day, whatever, but somebody's going to have a day. That's when your offense gets really, really scary for opposing defenses, because then opposing defenses can't go, oh, we just shut down DJ Moore and we're good. Because no, you got a few other guys. So, it was DeAndre Swift last week. It was Rome Odunze a couple weeks before. You can see how now they can start get multiple. We got to talk about DJ Moore. I mean, he said it's just a regular game, but if you want to make it a revenge game, make it a revenge game.
Yeah, right.
It looked like a revenge game to me. He got that second touchdown, that like primal scream. I mean, that to me looked and felt like a revenge game. Edgar, let's start with you about DJ Moore's day.
DJ Moore had an awesome day. I mean, he could have had just one more catch for about 15 yards. I think he got a little excited.
How did I know you were going to bring that
wide
up?
open? Look, it can't be all roses and sunshine. We got to, he had a great day regardless. But DJ, it happens to everyone, right? You feel the pressure, or you think you're oh my God, I'm too wide open. I'm starting to look upfield already, and ends up dropping it. But very efficient game. I think those 2 touchdowns. DJ Moore it was legit a revenge game. He was not out here to just be a part of the offense. He wanted the ball. You could tell Caleb was looking for him, and it worked. I mean, it's something that he wanted to come out and prove. And if we could just shove it more in the face of the Panthers, I think DJ Moore is more than happy to partake in that.
Yeah, he balled, man. And I think a lot of what has frustrated me as a fan is how much discussion we've had about his body language and what he does on the bench. And it's like, this guy just wants to win. He wants to win. And he definitely, obviously, is a wide receiver. He wants his targets. But I think if you get him, if he catches 4 balls for 100 and 2 of them are touchdowns, he's never going to be upset about that day. So I knew that, I put in a bet on DJ to score. I should have bet him to score twice. I didn't even think that far ahead. I was just like, frankly, really nervous that
just a little sprinkle.
I was like,
sprinkle on the complete revenge game.
I was actually just more nervous that we were going to screw this thing up as like a tortured Bears fan. But yeah, I mean, I think the idea that this is just another game is complete BS. And, I think it probably gets, tired. He's probably tired of talking about it at this point. Like he's on the other side, but secretly he wanted a ball, and I know Caleb knew that. So him getting open, him scoring early was huge. That deep ball, like you said earlier, just like a perfect ball to him. Like, kudos to him today. He's an absolute stud, and it's really nice to have, this connection continuing to grow. I know there was a lot of discussion after the Houston game, like these guys aren't on the same page, and what are they doing at practice, and can they do work, outside of practice together? And it's like, let's just chill for a second. Let's relax. Like, let them get their footing. We've got a kid at quarterback who's just learning his way in the NFL, and having a guy like DJ Moore is like the ultimate security blanket. He's more open than he's not. And if you got to just force feed him and that's going to keep you moving the chains, I think, he's the perfect guy for that.
Absolutely. And, there's no replacement for game reps.
Right.
In terms of that chemistry, you can practice, you can rehearse stuff and practice as much as you want. And they talk about that throw, that kind of inside release where Caleb dotted him. That was something that they said they've worked on a lot. And DJ Moore was like, as soon as I crossed the cornerback's face, I knew it was a touchdown. I knew that it was there. If the ball's there, it's a touchdown. It absolutely was. So, you can practice that so many times, but until you're repping it at live speed, game speed, live tackling, it's a different beast. And that's where the chemistry will continue to grow because, you also have route stems and different ideas of, am I going to break it off here or am I going to take it a little shallower? What is my QB like? All of those things, that just comes with game time. And we are watching it happen in real time, which is really cool. It's coming together. I know you guys mentioned, you're playing who's on your schedule, and the Panthers were not a good team, and then they were missing their 2 inside linebackers. But that's what you got to do, right? If that's your opponent, you got to dominate them, and that's what the Bears did.
Yeah.
While we're talking about DJ Moore and the excellent day we have, I do want to throw some more flowers on Shane Waldron for the first touchdown. It actually looked like he schemed up a little bit of a deep pick. It was these deep slants, these deep crossers that kind of looked like a one of those pseudo pick plays. We're running a route, but hopefully we tie up one of these CBs and it gets open. Yeah, exactly. Just took me right into you. That's wild. And I mean, DJ Moore was wide open after that, and he did the rest. And another shout out to Shane Waldron. I mean, everybody knew the 2 Panthers linebackers are out.
Right.
And what do the Bears do over and over? They challenge the middle of that defense. I mean, that's good game planning. That's knowing who you're going up against that week and saying, okay, here's a weakness. Here's what we're going to do to exploit it. It worked all game long. They challenged that defense. And then we got to talk offensive line a little bit. Have the Bears found something?
Yep. Hell yeah,
Bears found something here with Matt Pryor at right guard and Tevin Jenkins / Bill Murray at left guard and Nate Davis not really entering the equation.
It's the most Chicago thing in the entire world that we have an offensive lineman named Bill Murray. I just want to make sure I reference that. And I think that for as much fire as they had come under for the, poor performances in the first few weeks, it did really feel like this might have been a kind of last stand for Coleman Shelton. I think he played really solid. And I think I saw a lot of life today out of the O-line. It didn't feel like we were on our heels. It felt like we were taking the fight to them, which I think is something that we need to continue to do going forward. Yes, their linebackers were hurt and their D-line isn't, great. They're missing pass rushers, whatever. But they really took the fight to them, and you could tell. I mean, I think right after the first Roschon Johnson touchdown, I was like, they're moving guys today. They're pushing and moving guys and creating holes. And the one thing I will say is Doug Kramer as the pseudo fullback is still a work in progress. He had the clipping penalty, but they're doing things that have worked and continuing to try to do it. I'm not going to be surprised when they do the short handoff to Doug Kramer to score a touchdown, because they're definitely setting that up. He's there. Yeah. And so, yeah, you're right in giving the O-line their flowers. They deserved it today. And shout out to Matt Pryor, man. He showed me something. Even getting, you probably shouldn't be tossing punches around, but they're going after your guys. I like an O-lineman that's going to stand up for our guys as well. So shout out to Matt Pryor. That was really fun of him to just get in there and mix it up. He got ejected, but the game was in hand.
Yeah, I think we'll see. Well, like you said, that inside handoff to a lineman later on. It's definitely coming for sure. But yeah, even though it's a beat up defense, it's nice to get these guys the reps and the confidence to maybe build off of this, right? Like you said, we've been really critiquing the line even preseason. Like it was a big question mark, right? Who's going to play where? How's the interior? Like we had our tackles set, and just how do we build off of that? And if this is a game where, hey, go out there and maul, guys. I don't care who's in front of us, who's beat up. Like if we got to make this work, like we need a game to build confidence off of. And this was a perfect way. Just get out there, do what you guys do, get nasty. And there was fight literally in the offensive line. Like the punch, all right, never throw a punch with the guy wearing a helmet. But hey, like you said, you're defending the guy, you're defending your teammates, and it's encouraging. Like something to build off of, and let's see how they can carry it to the future. We'll see was there an injury update on Tevin Jenkins? So I know, Alex, and you kind of had an eye on it, but I'm not quite sure.
Ankle injury. They did not have immediate information after the game. He's going to continue to be evaluated, but an ankle for Tevin Jenkins, which was different from the ribs injury. So he suffered the ribs injury last week that held him out of practice a little bit, but he was healthy enough.
Yeah.
He tolerated the pain enough, is what I should really say. He tolerated the pain in the ribs enough.
He's a tough dude, man. Yeah. He is a tough dude. And honestly, like I think everyone had very high expectations for him and based on what he did in college. And I think you're starting to see, like, if you get more pieces on the line to work with him, I think that him and Darnell Wright last year kind of worked. And, I think for the amount of beating that guy takes, he's just like always active on Sundays. So I'm hoping the ankle situation isn't too bad because they're taking the long trip to London. And like you said, Edgar, maybe this is a week where we can start to build off some stuff and gain some confidence. And, we're going to be better with Tevin in there.
A few more things to call out on the O-line that I just loved seeing over and over again. There's not a lot of minuses.
No,
it feels like
so rare.
Showering.
So rare.
I know, it feels like we're just showering the team with praise, but honestly, there are not too many minuses that I wrote down. A couple more pluses from the offensive line that I saw consistently. Braxton Jones and Coleman Shelton, and even Tevin Jenkins when he was in there, those guys were consistently getting to the second level. I mean, busting holes for DeAndre Swift. I mean, it's like DeAndre Swift's running, and oh my God, he's 8 yards past the line of scrimmage, and there's Coleman Shelton still taking his guy downfield. Here's Braxton Jones 10 yards down the field, taking a guy out the sideline. That's exactly what you want to see out of those guys. I thought Darnell Wright was so much improved over the first 4 games of the season. Only 1 sack of Caleb Williams on Sunday. So, was he running for his life a little bit? But that's what he does. He creates. He extends plays. He keeps his eyes downfield. We're going to see that all the time. But none of the interior guys in Caleb Williams' face immediately for a sack that we've seen a little bit too often, even earlier this year and with Justin Fields in the past. I thought the production was really, really solid. Run blocking was really, really good. Only 1 sack for Caleb Williams. So hats off to the O-line.
I wrote down this note, man, that Jonathan Vilma, who, you can say what you want about how he did today on the call, but he said they had no answer for this Bears offense all day. I don't even know if I've ever heard that. Like it stuck with me so much. I had to rewind and write down word for word exactly what he said. Because I'm like, this is refreshing. This is new. The offensive line is moving people. We're running the ball well. We're calling good plays. We're scoring lots of points. What a day.
Operation is good. The operation was clean. Not a lot of penalties.
Yeah.
It's not like they were laid out of the huddle a lot.
It's a great day.
Great day. Any other thoughts on the offense, gentlemen, before we turn the page to the D?
Sorry,
a shout out to them to also, but also shout out to cleaning up some of those pre-snap penalties. Those have been a headache as of late, but didn't really see that much today. So hats off to them for getting that straightened out.
All right, sweet. Defense time. These guys just remain dominant. Every week I become more and more sure that this is a pretty elite unit. That it's a unit we thought could be elite heading into the season, and they looked every part of it. 3 takeaways on Sunday. The Bears, for their part, they did not turn over the ball over once. That's a pretty good formula. Kyler Gordon had 1 punch out that Jervon Dexter recovered. Kevin Byard had the interception. What was the third? I'm missing the third. We had the Kevin Byard pick. We had the forced fumble. There was only one interception. It must have been another. It was another fumble. Hold on, I got it written down somewhere. It was, I know, it was Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds with another forced fumble, and then Kyler Gordon. So Kyler Gordon had a forced fumble and a fumble recovery.
Did he have a sack too?
Gordon.
Did he get a half a sack?
He had a half sack on the blitz. Kyler Gordon, go off, dude. So yeah, I guess let's start there. Edgar, takeaways, sacks, pressures. What did you love about the Bears defense on Sunday?
The secondary always locking down, as we've come to expect from that unit. I think early on, though, and we saw that on the first drive from the Panthers, they were kind of moving the ball a little bit on them on the ground. I know because the game kind of got away from them, they kind of had to get away from running the ball, but just something to mark up there. I felt like a lot of those Panthers offensive linemen were getting to that second level and engaging. Pretty early on, like they were kind of moving the ball on them. And I mean, I know the big run from Chuba Hubbard, but even before that, he was getting like 5-4 yards a rip. And so the Bears were able to clean that up. I mean, the game, like I said, was kind of getting away from the Panthers. So they kind of had to abandon their commitment to the run a little bit. And it's just through the air, they were just giving up nothing. I feel like any consistent passes they were getting completed on where it's just like around the goal line. I mean, around the line of scrimmage, something short passes, but anything deep, forget about it. Like they had everything just locked away.
Before I toss it over to you, Bolling, I got to correct myself. It wasn't Kyler Gordon who had the forced fumble and the fumble recovery. He had the fumble recovery on Tremaine Edmonds' ball. How could I forget the big hit that
Brisker.
You literally, guys, put it in the chat. You put it in the chat, and somehow I forgot. He boomed that dude.
Took him out.
Yeah, forced the fumble, and that was the one that Kyler. No. That was the one that Jervon Dexter recovered. I got too many notes. I got pages and pages of notes. I'm going back.
A whole sheet in here, man.
There you go.
There.
Yeah, love it. So that was the takeaway breakdown, and I wanted to clear that up before I toss that to you, Bolling.
Yeah, no. One of the things that stuck out to me, I hadn't noticed, or I didn't know that Kevin Byard had that many interceptions. I guess he's got the most active interceptions since 2017 or something like that. Like he looked like a straight up wide receiver on that play.
Mm-hmm.
Like he turned his head, got around, located the ball, put his hands out and caught it. Listen, this defense, I think all of us could probably agree. We were never going to think that the defense would be a question mark on this roster. I think we all knew that the people they added, the continuity they've had over the last couple years, and just adding some pieces, like on a day where everything kind of went right, it was really on the defense to just like not allow them to get any confidence. And like you said, Edgar, anything that was down the field was forget about it. There was no chance. And Brisker, to me, he might be my favorite player on the defense. The dude's a maniac. He just throwing his body around. Like, I literally hope he doesn't get hurt one of these days. And, he's had his issues of minor injuries, but he's a tough SOB as well. And that kind of solidified, like, this game is not going to go the way you want it, Carolina. Like, once he laid that hit, and, like, I hope Tommy Tremble is okay, but that was like a tone-setting hit. Everybody was fired up. Soldier Field was rocking. I had a buddy text me. He was like, dude, it is so loud in here. And I'm like, that's the vibes you want. This defense has literally held teams under 21 points in 10 straight games. It's a record. Like, it's insane. They're playing really well. They're healthy. I hope they continue to stay healthy and just keep people out of the end zone, man. They're making it really hard on offenses to score, and that's what you want from a Chicago Bears defense.
Yeah. One more thought about Kevin Byard. I mean, the takeaway ability and the athletic ability as an older guy is obviously impressive, but the instincts, the recognition, the awareness is also just – it was really on display today, I thought. I mean, obviously he's able to track that ball for the interception, but there was one play in particular, 3rd and 6, early in the game, the first half, to force him 3 and out, where you watch Kevin Byard perfectly recognize what's happening around him. He kind of he punches not DJ Moore, not DJ Moore, the other guy, David Bell.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. No.
David Moore.
Deontay Johnson. I wrote DJ. Deontay Johnson. He really like engages with Deontay Johnson at the line. Follows him for a little bit, but then kind of senses, oh, wait, something's happening in the flat. Kind of goes off of him a little bit, keeps his eyes good, and then sure enough, that play does go to the flat. makes the perfect open field tackle, prevents a first down, forces a punt, forces a 3 and out. That led to that drive that ended with the Bears kind of failing on that 4th down. But, this is a moment where the Bears defense is trying to give that offensive momentum. Keep that happening. Keep those drives happening. Those instincts are just phenomenal. One other dude that we got to talk about, Gervon Dexter. He just continues to pop. So for me, he was a question mark. Is Gervon Dexter ready to be the defensive tackle, the starting defensive tackle, 3 tech for this team? It's such an important position. I think he continue to look good. Let's start with you, Mike, about Gervon Dexter.
This guy, he surprised me, but when you think about it and look at his numbers from where he came from, he had really nice numbers at Florida. He just came in as like a tweener guy. Like, are you going to be hand in the dirt? Are you going to be, what's your role within this defense? And you got to kind of give it up to Ryan Poles, man, like taking a chance on that guy in the 2nd round and really just the foresight. Maybe it's almost like they got lucky and just tried it and it worked. But I like to give them a little more credit than that because he's been really, really good. I think they said on the broadcast he has the most sacks for an interior defensive lineman through this point in the season. Like, it feels like found money. Like, he's young, he's obviously hungry, and I'm starting to think that he's getting a lot of respect from his teammates, and it's only going to translate into getting more respect around the league. So shout out to Gervon Dexter, man. It felt like every time the quarterback was on the ground or every time the ball was on the ground, 99 was around. So that's what you want from that guy, from that position. And quickly, I'll also give some love to Billings. I mean, he's been really, really great this year as well. So feels like we found something. Hopefully these guys can stay healthy and keep, disrupting and making some havoc back there.
I think you could have gotten that sack, though, Bolling. Unblocked. You see how wide his eyes got? Like, oh, my God, it's a free rush. That never happens. So
right.
It happened to a better guy. Congrats, Andrew Billings, on getting the free sack.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. Yeah, I think Gervon Dexter's really starting to check that box for the Bears, right? And the offseason work that he did it's no it doesn't go unnoticed. Again, it's people have written about it. We've heard all the stories, and it's really translating to the field. And just like you said, credit to him. He's everywhere on that field. If he can get to it, you see his effort, right? He's trying to pounce on fumbles. He's making tackles near the sideline. The guy's moving, and it's really translating. We can start to see it. And like you said, Bull, it's found money. If it's starting to come together for that line. We want to see more of it. We want to see it progress, just like every aspect of this team. But so far, so good for Gervon Dexter. We want to see this keep going.
All right. Anybody else that you want to shout out on the defense, Edgar? Anybody else that you were just like, this dude's flashing? He's making an impact that we haven't spoken about yet.
Maybe because he's just playing because he's on a nickel. But Kyler Gordon, I love anytime he kind of flashes on the field. I feel like whenever he's making a big play, he's moving fast, man. I love the way that guy plays, man. I feel like he needs to be I don't know, more credit to him, but he gets his respect. But I love the way Kyler Gordon plays.
He just flies around, dude. That guy is like,
he's a playmaker.
He's a playmaker. I feel like he's like the closest thing we got to a hair on fire guy. And having him and Brisker, they like really kind of balance well off of each other. I think having them start as rookies together is, that's paying dividends. They've got, this connection that they always know where each other are. And yeah, when you got a corner like that, whether he's playing the slot, he can, play in a bunch of different places. But I just love seeing him come down and get hits. He had the one sack in the preseason that I think it was against the Chiefs where he just kind of like flew in unblocked and like smoked the guy. Like, when you got a guy like that, you can use him in many different ways. And I love the way that they're deploying him. So shout out to Matt Eberflus for like taking the chances with him. Sometimes you're going to get burned, but to this point, Kyler's been playing really, really good football, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, Flus he's got that knack, that feel for when to dial up a blitz. It feels like it works more often than not, and like the right button to push too. Whether it's Brisker, Gordon, we've seen TJ Edwards do it. He does have that knack for dialing up the blitz. I also want to shout out Darrell Taylor. I don't think he had he didn't stuff the stat sheet, but it just felt like he was always when he was subbing in as that kind of third guy, that guy off the bench, just always in Andy Dalton's face, dialing up pressures, forcing the ball out quickly. So that was impressive because the Bears have been looking for that number 3 guy, right? And they seem to have that guy in Darrell Taylor. And then Austin Booker, who, hasn't played a ton, the very toolsy 5th-round draft pick the Bears traded up to get. They liked him that much. They're like, yeah, let's get back to the draft to get this guy. He essentially iced the game. He did ice the game. When the backups are out there. Yeah. Is that his first sack? No,
that was his first NFL sack, yeah.
Okay. All that production was in the preseason, I suppose, because I know he was making all sorts of plays in the preseason, all sorts of plays in training camp.
Yeah,
that dude was just like a classic Booker play, just like pursuit, sack.
Use your motor, man. He's fast. He's got the tools, like you said. And, I'm glad that you shouted him out here. I think that, getting an opportunity to play with and learn from a guy like Montez Sweat, it's only going to help him. So could be big things ahead for him. I hope he continues to get opportunities because what we've seen, he's flashed in the preseason. Now he's got his first NFL sack under his belt. Like, building blocks, man. Building blocks on a lot of levels, and I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing.
All right. Let's talk players of the game. There are so many options. A lot of dudes played really, really well. I mean, when you beat a team 36-10, obviously a lot went right. But let's just go around the horn. Player of the game, Edgar Perez, who's getting your game ball.
I'll save Caleb Williams for any one of you two guys, but I'm gonna go for DeAndre Swift. I mean, I think to continue what he did against the Rams, like this is kind of how we wanted him to see him being used in this offense. Like running up the gut with DeAndre Swift earlier in the year, it wasn't really working. I mean, I know some of that interior alignment was kind of the issue with that, but he's been so much better, like getting out wide, like just reading his blockings a little bit better. We saw that on the screen where he just followed his blocks, right? Like we literally, as he was running up the field, we saw him shifting, engage, so his blockers can engage. And I think he continued that today, and it's just great to see him putting up those numbers because I never really saw him as a true workhorse back, and he still might not be that. He might just be on a good little run here, but it is nice to see him put up those numbers that we expect, especially with the contract that he signed. Like, do I expect this every game? No, but I think he's running more efficiently. He's doing what he can in the passing game, which only 2 passes, but I mean, obviously one of them was the huge screen.
Yep.
But we do know, like, he's typically going to catch, 2, 3, maybe 4 balls. They might all be home runs like that one screen pass was, but that is what he brings to this team, a well-rounded back. And hats off to him. I think he's played a great game today. He played a great game last week, and it's just, another part of this great team that we want to see continue.
Bolling, who you got?
I'm not going to go with a player. I'm going to go with Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron's getting my game ball. Listen, I've been critical of him, talking to buddies, whatever it is. And, we've gone through a number of offensive coordinators that have made head scratching calls. But today felt like we knew the game plan. We knew we were going to stick to it. And the adjustments, like we talked about earlier, I loved seeing DeAndre Swift attempt to get that first touchdown and then, saying, all right, you know what? We're bringing in the hammer. Roshan's going in there. We're bringing in Doug Kramer, and we're going to score this touchdown. Like, let's worry about the fantasy points and everybody's like personal accolades later. Like, we're in the middle of a fight right now, and we're going to bring in our guy that's going to get us over the goal line. So hats off to Shane Waldron. I was impressed throughout, I think with the exception of the call on 4th and 1 that I felt like should have been more of just like a hammer meet nail play. It was kind of like that offset handoff, and it gave their line a little opportunity to kind of get in the backfield. But I thought he called a really, really good game. And like I said earlier, I think he's starting to figure out the tools that he has and the pieces that he can use to get this team into the end zone more often than kicking field goals. So for Shane Waldron, I tip my hat. He also is the reason why I didn't win a bet, because we didn't kick any field goals. I think I needed 2 field goals from Cairo, and I would have won some money. But that's what happens when you're just too damn good today, baby. So I'll take it. The emotional hedge. I'm happy the Bears won, and hats off to Shane Waldron. He called a great game today.
Yeah, I'd rather take 7 over 3 anytime. I know you lost your bet, Bull, and I'm sorry, but hey, give me those touchdowns, man.
I'm just tortured, man. I'm just so used to kicking field goals on the lake, dude. Now it's like we're scoring touchdowns every week.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, gotta adjust the plan. But
Gotta rework the strategy a little bit.
exactly. I'll have a new strategy next week for the London game.
5 touchdowns for the Bears today. 5 scores, only 1 field goal. So yeah, well done, Shane Waldron. I can't believe Caleb Williams was left over for me picking 3rd as player of the game. Yeah, Caleb Williams is my player of the game. The guy was damn near perfect. We talked about it off the top. I mean, he was hitting throws to all 3 levels. He was, in my opinion, extremely decisive, processing quickly, extended plays as long as he had to, and then when it wasn't there, took off and was extremely good scrambling and getting the yards. He had a rushing touchdown taken away by the clipping, so he could have had another touchdown. That clipping play that we'll see. We'll see what Matt Eberflus says about that clipping play once they take a look at the tape. So I thought Caleb Williams, that is pretty much as good as you could hope for. He was extremely efficient, completed nearly 70% of his passes, over 300 yards, the passing touchdowns, operation good. Caleb Williams, you are my player of the game. All right.
Can I just jump in really quick and say something on the Caleb front?
Yes.
I know there's been a lot of talk about this like Jaden Daniels comparison with Caleb, and it's like, why don't we all just chill for a little bit? Like they played 5 games. Jaden Daniels has been excellent. He's been really, really, really good for Washington, but there's a difference here that I see, and I don't think it's fair to compare them against each other. Obviously, we're going to do that because that's what happens in media, and you have to make stories out of something. But I just hope that both of these guys stay healthy and they continue to ball, and that these things that we're seeing are not just flashes in the pan. Because, damn, is it really cool to see 2 young black quarterbacks doing their thing and producing for teams that have not had very great quarterback luck. So I got my fingers crossed. I don't think we need to pit them against each other until we play against them, and then we can go go crazy.
Who's pitting against each other? That doesn't sound like Bears fans. No. You know what? I'm with you too. And here's the other thing. Like I hear people saying, "Oh, Jaden Daniels is playing so great." Can you imagine if the Bears had traded that pick and gotten Jaden Daniels plus some extra picks? Man, that's revisionist history.
Whatever.
If Caleb Williams is the dude, if Caleb Williams is the guy that the Bears think he is, and he leads the team to the Super Bowl championships that they believe he can, man, throw all we could have had more out the window. Even if Jaden Daniels is tearing it up and leading, the Commanders to other NFC, title games and all that stuff, it doesn't matter. If Caleb Williams is the guy, Caleb Williams is the guy, and you should be happy, right? Like, For once, it looks like, and I know, again, it's a super small sample size after 5 games, but we've seen Caleb Williams grow and grow and grow, develop and develop and develop. And it's been a small sample size, but we can see the arrow pointing up.
Yeah,
You should be happy. It's pointing up.
Oh, for sure. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Alex. I think seeing the week by week improvement of Caleb, we're starting to see those sparks. It's starting to click for him. And I mean, the sooner we get there, the better for all of us, right? But it's gonna take a little bit with rookie QBs, but we can see the progress that Caleb's making for sure, week to week. And Jaden Daniels, he's lining it up, but a lot of it's just kind of big plays downfield. It feels a little more backyardy when it comes to Jaden Daniels. I mean, I haven't broken down any tape on Jaden Daniels. This is just what I've seen, but I don't know. I like where we're at with Caleb. I do think that he is maturing as a QB in just 5 weeks. We can literally see it, and we're on that. At least I like to believe we're on that path to having just, if we can see those 2 guys match up for years to come, like Bolling said, like let's just root for good quarterback play.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing that's going to differentiate Caleb Williams from other intriguing, inspiring Bears prospects, and it is consistency. We saw flashes from Justin Fields. There were games, there were stretches where, I thought Justin Fields is going to be the long-term solution. Oh, he's getting better. Oh, that arrow's pointing up. He couldn't do it consistently. He couldn't string those games together. He couldn't stack and stack and stack. That's going to be the key. That's going to be the big separator.
Mm-hmm.
Can Caleb Williams stack and stack and stack? And there are going to be bad games. There are going to be ugly games this season as he goes through the rookie season. But can he limit the bad? Can he make the frequency of the bad shorter and shorter, and then the frequency of the good longer and longer and more consistent? That's going to be the differentiator.
Yep.
It's everything. It's everything. We don't. That's why the Daniels comparisons kind of drive me nuts, because it's like, this is our guy. We picked him number 1 overall. The fact that people are even thinking about the what ifs, it's like he's very self-aware. He also is on his phone. He is a Gen Z quarterback. Like, I don't want him thinking about what he's going to say. I don't care what's going on. And shout out to Jaden Daniels and whatever. He's going to play nice because he's really good at what he does. But at the end of the day, what Jaden Daniels does not matter to me one bit unless they're playing us in that week. If he ends up being really good, great. But that's it. It's just like something else. And I know everybody has to make comparisons. I'm super excited for what Caleb's going to bring to the Bears, and I hope that we continue to see that growth just week after week.
I think you got to start preparing for what you're going to see on social media in about 3 weeks, Bolling, because that game's coming up, and if those guys keep continuing, I'm
gonna have to go into hiding because I'm just annoyed with the conversations.
You're going Mitch Trubisky. You're going Mitch Trubisky. Turn the TVs off at House.
TVs off in the building.
TVs off at CHSN for that week. That's fine. All right, let's start looking ahead to London. So the Bears actually declared Monday a Victory Monday. The player loved Victory Monday. That happens, some dominant performances like that, long trip ahead. Players don't got to come into the building to go over the tape and go over the stuff. They get to chill. And then as the team gets ready for London, they are actually leaving Monday night. So Flus has given them that time to chill, prepare for the long trip. Tuesday, they're going to have another off day. And then Wednesday, it's walkthroughs. So the focus really for the Bears seems to be get over there, get acclimated to the time change, get your body right so that by the time it's game time, you are ready to go. Just gentlemen, thoughts on the plan and thoughts on next week's game in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm really pumped to see how they respond after a dominant win. I think in the past we've had flashes. I remember the Trubisky 6 touchdown game against the Bucks, and everyone's like, he's the guy. And it's like what you just mentioned, Alex, like we just didn't have that consistency week after week, stringing these things together. Jaguars got their first win today. Crazy game, shootout. Mm-hmm. You got Trevor Lawrence in a gunslinging battle with Joe Flacco, who's still off the couch somehow. But the Jaguars, to me, feel very beatable. I think Trevor Lawrence has been underperforming. I think he had a pretty solid game today with some mistakes. He threw a pretty bad interception. But the Jaguars are probably the most familiar team playing in London. I feel like they've played the most games there. They're basically like a home team there. So they are they're very aware of the process and getting their bodies right and the time changes. So for our young team and our young quarterback, understanding that, it is a standalone game, and I always hold my breath on those because like the entire country gets to watch our Chicago Bears, and
if they
it's
wake
not
up
prime time, but it's going to be a standalone game. So I'm really eager to see how they respond after a win. I think we've done a really good job of protecting Soldier Field, but it's going to be a new thing. It's going to be a completely new thing to get acclimated to for, I would probably say 90% of the roster. So I'm looking to see how they respond, and hopefully it is with another win.
Yeah, I think what you said is right. Like getting out there and getting acclimated is important. Like these are athletes, they're used to routine, so getting the body clock adjusted is a big thing for them. And that shootout today against the Colts, man, like I know they've been underperforming, like you said, Bolling, but they have dudes. Like Brian Thomas is a dude. Having Christian Kirkpatrick is important for Trevor Lawrence, and they, Etienne and Tank Bigsby, like they're no slouches over there. Like if you sleep on them, like they're gonna put up some points like they did today. And like you said, Bolling, in the past, this Bears teams have after a big win, come out a little more lackadaisical. So it's important for them to ride this momentum. Maybe being able to see the Jaguars put up this kind of performance this week is a little bit of a wake-up call to them. Be like, okay, we had a good game. We dominated the Panthers, but these guys can put up points. So let's lock in. Let's get over there. Let's get adjusted and, try to defend home territory across the pond there.
There you go.
I'm going to do my first preseason flip-flop. Preseason, I picked the Bears to lose this game in London. I'm switching it to a dub. The offense is coming along. I think the defense is going to be able to right kind of the run defense issues that cropped up. The takeaways have been there. And I know the Jaguars, they know what to do in London. I mean, no team has more experience making that London trip than them. And that is an advantage. I mean, that's a real advantage. But the Bears, I think the defense continues to cook. And if the offense can play, I mean, not even as good as they did on Sunday against the Panthers, but if they play, still solid football, I think it's a Bears win. So I'm making my first preseason flip-flop. I'm going with the Bears W. All right. Before we get out of here, gentlemen, any final thoughts?
Yeah.
Bolling, yeah.
I will just say I really wish I was at Soldier Field today because the vibes seemed insane. I was texting a bunch of buddies that were there. I'm like, tell me what the vibes are like right now. And they're like, it's so loud. It's crazy. And I do believe that there's something to this team protecting Soldier Field. I know there's been a lot of talk about moving away from the lakefront, and I'll just put myself out there. Like, I am someone who would kind of like to see them go to Arlington Heights if we can build a cool dome out there, but you got to protect your home field. That's 8 straight wins at home, the longest active street in the NFL. Some reason the boys love balling at Soldier Field, and I think the vibes are definitely higher than they have been in recent years. I think Chicago, as a city, as fans, everyone can relate to this. We're always going to get pretty excited and eager when the calendar turns and the season starts and everyone's 0-0. There was so much momentum behind this team. You have Hard Knocks, which was a surprising first. But everybody now is starting to get that mojo, right? Like you're not going to come into Soldier Field and get an easy dub, and it's going to get cold. It's going to get more windy, so that's got to play in our favor. But just love the vibes around Soldier Field lately, and hopefully, we continue winning and continue keeping these teams under 21 points and having fun, on Lakeshore Drive, because it hasn't been like that in many years. And, I think all of us were relatively the same age. Like, I remember being young and being like, oh, nobody comes to Soldier Field and wins. And our defenses are always stacked and loaded. And I'm starting to feel like that again. So shout out to everyone that was at Soldier Field today. They were definitely heard, and hopefully we can continue those vibes at home.
Yeah, the local celebrity athletes are really out today, huh? Soldier Field, you had
They were hurt
out there, you had Imanaga out there, D Rose was in a suite. So credit to the Bears for going out and, like you said, defending home field. Yeah, they balled
Captain
today.
America too.
Yeah, that's right. Anthony Mackie was there. I did see that too. So, like awesome. You said, they balled out. Shout out to them. Congratulations, guys. Enjoy that victory Monday, but just lock in. You're going over. You're taking a long flight, so just be able to lock in and just continue this momentum, please. Because it's just
no pubs
getting
in
to
London.
This point. Like no, just focus.
No pubs in London.
Or just order fish and chips to room service. It's fine. Like they'll taste the same. I promise. Like I can't promise. I've never been, but but I just hope they just lock in and ride this momentum, because the schedule is only going to get tougher. Like, we're in the stretch where they should be winning these games. They need to take advantage of that, and just don't feel yourself too much. You still need to lock in.
Yeah, we'd feel a lot better about everything coming home from London 4-2 than we would 3-3. And I think the guys know that. I think the coaches know that. So just like you said, man, just go over there, business trip, lock in, and bring home a dub.
Yeah, 4-2, you are cooking. 4-2, you're cooking.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you to all of you for making it to the end of our very first episode of the Bearcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. We really appreciate each and every one of you for sticking with us through our first episode. Thanks for coming along. Really appreciate it. We're really excited to bring you more awesome content right here on the Bearcast, but also on the CHSN website. We got dope stuff, not just Bears. We got your Bull stuff. Blackhawks are coming up. We're going to be doing White Sox winter meetings. If you're missing White Sox with Chuck Garfien, don't worry. Don't worry. We got your White Sox stuff with Chuck Garfien too. So again, we're just really stoked about this opportunity, and we're really glad that you're here with us. And we can't wait to bring you more awesome stuff. For Mike Bolling, for Edgar Perez, I'm Alex Shapiro. Once again, this was the Bearcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. Have a wonderful week, everybody.